message. You'll find this in 2 Kings, the 4th chapter, 2 Kings, the 4th chapter, beginning at the 1st verse. I'm going to read just a little bit here, and then, because of the time element, share the other part of the chapter with you. And you're going to look at this and say, where in the world did he come up with this? Because it may be a little different, but I was reading this and I thought, wow, what a great mom. What a great mom. In the midst of a horrible situation, what a great mom. She showed her colors. She showed her love and concern. And I just simply titled it, if you look in the bulletin, a mother intervenes for her children. Have you ever had a mother to step in for you? It's so wonderful when that happens, huh? Now there cried a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets unto Elisha, saying, Thy servant, my husband, is dead. And thou knowest that thy servant did fear the Lord, and the creditor is come to take him unto him my 2 sons to be bondmen. And Elisha said unto her, What shall I do for thee? Tell me, what can I do for you? What do you have in your house? She said, all I have is just a little pot of oil. Now I want us to take a look at this in the short minutes that we have. Elisha has just recently filled this position that Elijah had. And he now is over the school of the prophets. This lady's husband was in training to be a minister. And in order to finance that, it appears to me that he had to get a loan. He hadn't planned on dying. You see, folks, in most cases, don't plan on dying. Not young folks. His wife hadn't planned on it. They had 2 young sons. But he died. But he was a man of God. He loved the Lord. He was training to share the word with others, to share the message with others. But he died. And this widow and this mother is having to carry the grief of a dead husband. They had plans together. They had looked to the future. Their 2 sons were involved in their future. But everything collapsed. Everything fell apart. Their world, her world, had fallen apart. She's struggling. You see, in that day and time, a widow and children were very vulnerable. And there was a debt that hung over, a cloud that hung over this little family. A debt that had been ensued by the father and the husband. But he had planned on paying it off. But now it was getting ready to come due. And they had nothing but a little pot of oil. Probably sold everything. This mother is grieving. This widow is feeling the pain of separation from her husband by death. And now she has these two sons, and the one who has the note has come and informed her, as was the custom in that day and time, that if you can't pay the note, I will use your sons as bondservants, but actually more than that, as slaves, except it was for a limited time, otherwise just literally slaves. She couldn't bear this. She was already carrying the load and grief of a dead husband, and now her sons are going to be taken away. And they're going to face a cruel taskmaster. They're going to face a torturous work and labor institution. And her life, her tears could not quit anymore. But look at this mom. She said, I'm going to intervene. I'm not going and telling the one who has the note off. I'm not going to keep my sons from doing the lawful thing. I'm not going to create a terrible situation for my sons. I love them too much. I'm going to intervene the best way that I know how. I'm going to God. How many mothers have prayed for their sons that were in some conflict, some war somewhere? Down on their knees, praying, intervening. God, my son is facing death. I plead to you. This lady knew that she was going to intervene. She wasn't going to just let things happen and say, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about it. Oh, yes, there is. When nothing else works, fall on your knees and pray. I'm going to intervene. So she got a hold of Elisha. She said, Elisha, I need some help. Elisha wasn't a wealthy man. What can I do? She said, well, let me tell you about my problem. My husband was in training. You know him. He was given his life to the service of God, to the ministry. We were following him. We were enjoying God's presence in our lives, but we have nothing in the way of material things. Have you ever been there? But we have something bigger than that. This mama recognized. You see, a great mother recognizes that for her children, there's something more than a bank account.
That's right.
I want for my children something more than power and position and material things. There's something that my mom considered for me more than wealth. Never taught me about finances, but my mom taught me about Jesus. Never taught me about how to be something in this life and to be big in this life, but my mom taught me about Jesus Christ. This mother was teaching her sons about God, about the miracles of God. And she brought Elisha into the picture, knowing that Elisha would bring God into the picture. Said, I need help. I need some help. My sons are not going to be slaves. I'm not going to. I'm going to get a hold of God, and until God does something, I am going to intervene for my sons until God moves. You see, love does that. I mentioned before, but I'll mention it again now. I had a young lady come one time, and she said, "Pastor said, what kind of book would you recommend on how to raise children?" I showed her the Word of God. She said, "Something I can understand." I said, "Do you love your little baby?" "Oh, I love them with all my heart." Then don't worry about reading the book. Bring Christ into the picture. Will He give me instructions? No, but there'll be such love there that He'll send you to someone with instructions. If you have a baby that's needing help, I just noticed last night on the news, I don't know if anybody else did or not, this was in Florida, where that a couple were going along. They had a baby. They pulled a state trooper over. And they'd run out with this baby, a little boy. What was happening, he was choking or gasping on something, and he was passing out. And the state trooper tried to get him back, resuscitation, and he couldn't do it. So he said, "Just wait." He threw his lights on, and he rushed that little baby to the hospital. And it survived. Today it's doing good. Just a little child. Two ladies in the car. One was a mother. They didn't know what to do. But you know what? They found somebody that knew what to do. And that somebody knew what to do beyond what he could do. That's the way Elisha was. He knew how to take care of things beyond what he knew. "What am I going to do?" he said. "What can I do?" But when he brought God into the picture, God began to take over. We need to find someone or someplace that we can get a hold of to help us get a hold of God.
Right.
When we love our children, we get desperate, and we will find a way of intervention. This was a great mother.
Yep.
Elisha said, "Well, I'll tell you what, you take that little," he said, "you go out in the neighborhood, you send your two sons out, you borrow every pot you can find, every vessel you can find. You load them up in your house." That don't make sense. Don't worry about whether it makes sense. The lady done exactly what she was told to do, whether it makes sense or not. A desperate mother does what she's supposed to do when she knows that it's of God.
That's right.
Even if it doesn't make sense. Went out and borrowed all these vessels. He said, "Now you take that little vessel of oil and you began to pour." And every time she poured a vessel full, it filled up. It would stop for a minute. She'd go to the next vessel. It would fill up. It just kept filling up. Every vessel said, "Elisha, we filled." Now, oil was an expensive commodity to have in that day and time. She filled every vessel up. Her and her sons. And when the last vessel was at the full mark, it stopped. It was over. The miracle was over. Elisha said, "Go sell that, pay the debt, and live off of the rest. That's your retirement." Now, if she had not intervened, she'd just be lamenting the situation that her children were in. Had she not intervened, all she could do, "Well, I gave it a college try. I done the best I could do." No, this woman wasn't taking that. She said, "I am going to do what needs to be done, and I will not stop till it is taken care of. My sons are too important to me." So she intervened. And the best intervention that a mother can have is in Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ honors the prayer of a mother. It's one of the most honorable prayers that there is the prayers of a mother. You would bring them out, Brother Tony, we appreciate that. So when we sang that song this morning, I thought about that, thought about my mom. A mama's prayer. Oh, if I could just hear my mama pray again. My mama prayed a lot of prayers. I needed a lot of prayers. So she prayed a lot of prayers. You know. But you know what? I appreciate all of them. I know my wife, she still prays. Our kids still prays for our children. You just don't quit, do you? Mothers just don't give up. This mother was not giving up. She was in it for the duration. She was there until she got an answer. Her sons were not going to be taken away as slaves, going into bondage. Our children don't need to be in bondage. We need to intervene for our children. Let God bless our children. What a wonderful mother that this lady was. Didn't say what her name is, but you know what? It says what she is. She's a mother. She's a mom. And moms sometimes don't need a name, just mom.